Yes.
Hi,
Oh,
Dean
hello.
Anderson.
Hello, come on in.
Could we ask you 75 questions
Of
in honor of
course.
Suny Broome's 75th
Of
anniversary?
course.
Great. So, what's the first thing you do when you wake up in the morning?
Make coffee.
And what is your favorite newspaper or news source to read?
National Public Radio.
And what is the first website or app that you look at each morning?
I go to the CNN website to make sure we're not at war or our economy is any worse off than it currently is.
And if you could have an anthem playing every time that you walked onto our campus, what would it be?
The Authority Song by John Cougar Mellencamp.
Now, what's your go-to breakfast each morning?
I usually have eggs with cheese on tortilla shells.
And when did you come to Suny Broome?
I came here in July of 2021.
And what's your role at Suny Broome?
I am Associate Vice President and Dean of Liberal Arts and Business and Professional Studies.
Ooh. And if you could have any other job here at Suny Broome, what would it be?
I think I'd want to be the guy who rides on the lawnmower.
And what person, dead or alive, would you want to cover for you if you had to call in sick?
Abraham Lincoln. I'd like to get his take on things.
What are 3 words to describe Suny Broome?
I think a pretty amazing place.
What's the last book that you read?
I finished reading Beyond Band of Brothers. It's an autobiography of Captain Richard Winters.
And what is a book that you read because everyone else was reading it?
I don't read books that other people read, but I did read once The Da Vinci Code because everyone was doing it.
What book should everyone be reading right now?
I think one book everyone should be reading now is Why We Get Sick by Benjamin Bickman.
And of all the classes that you've developed and taught over the years, which one is your favorite?
My most favorite was Dogs in Literature.
Now, online classes or in person?
In person. Can't beat in person.
And what was your favorite class to take as a college student?
The Enlightenment with Dr. Young.
And if you could bring anyone from history in to give a lecture on this campus, who would you pick?
Oh, there's no question. It'd be Socrates.
And what did you do after you graduated from high school?
I cried because then I had to face the real world.
Now, I learned that you joined the U.S. Army. What was the best part about being in the U.S. Army?
I think the best part about being in the Army was learning how to be a team member, so learning teamwork.
And what advice would you give to someone who's considering joining the U.S. forces?
Just do it.
And I heard that part of your time in the U.S. Army was spent learning Russian. What's your favorite phrase to say in Russian?
Очень хорошо.
Now, this is a pretty cool office, but could we see your other office over in BPS?
Очень хорошо.
Now, I heard that you lived in London for 2 years while you were working on your dissertation. What is your favorite British food?
It's not actually food, it's beer.
And who's your favorite member of the royal family?
Has to be the Queen because she's been around for such a long time.
Do you think Americans should adopt afternoon tea?
Of course, yes.
And what's your favorite PBS English series?
Inspector Morse.
Fish and chips or a full English breakfast?
Oh, definitely. What was the first part?
Fish and chips.
Oh, fish and chips, definitely. English breakfasts are horrible.
And what movie always makes you laugh?
It would have to be Uncle Buck.
And what movie always makes you cry?
It's a Wonderful Life, the ending scene.
What's a movie that you've seen or could see 100 times?
High Noon with Gary
And
Cooper.
why does that movie keep coming back to you?
Because of the integrity of the main character and his willingness to stand up and do what was right in the face of the opposition of public opinion.
And what's your favorite TV show?
The Andy Griffith Show.
And do you mind whistling the theme song for me?
Of course.
Beautiful. If you could make a cameo on any TV show, what would it be?
Cheers.
And if you could make a documentary about everything, what would that subject be?
I think it would be the special relationship between dogs and human beings.
What song do you listen to when you need inspiration?
Spemi Alium by Thomas Tallis, a 16th century Elizabethan composer.
Where'd you go to college?
Illinois Wesleyan University.
And where did you go to graduate school?
Syracuse University.
If you could redo your undergraduate degree, what would it be in?
No question, classics.
And where would you go?
The University of Chicago.
What is your favorite advice to share with college students who are going to school for the first time?
I would say persevere, or as Winston Churchill told Cambridge audience, never surrender.
And what's the best piece of advice that you received as a student?
A writer writes.
Well, thank you. If you could add any program to Suny Broome's offerings, what would you pick?
I think it'd be one that encompasses health, fitness, and nutrition, so an overall wellness degree.
And if you could add any global experience to Suny Broome's offerings, what travel course would you add?
I think just any short-term travel courses anywhere in the world for at least 2 or 3 weeks.
Now, I've heard that you live on a 170-plus-year-old farmhouse. What's the best part about living in a home with so much history?
I think it's character, it's feel,
What's the worst part?
the upkeep.
And when you moved into the farmhouse, did you find anything left over from the previous tenants?
Unfortunately, no, because it had been renovated. I'm sure all the good things were found already.
Now, if you could live in another country outside of the United States, where would you live?
England.
And if Suny Broome had a sister campus anywhere in the world, where would it be?
England.
And what's the last country you visited?
China.
Ooh, and what country would you love to visit?
I'd love to visit India, I think.
What is your favorite U.S. city?
Monterey, California.
And what's your favorite food city?
Chicago, where I'm from.
What is your ideal late night snack?
I don't eat late night snacks.
Have you ever Googled yourself?
Yes.
And what did you think when you Googled yourself?
Disappointed because I didn't find much.
How would you say, what would you think your wife would describe you as?
Honorable.
And how would your daughter describe you?
Funny or goofy?
And what's the best gift that you've ever received?
I gave my mom a car once. That felt pretty good.
And what's the best gift that you've ever given?
I've been given a dictionary and a cassette tape of the singer Greg Brown when I went to college.
Now, Dr. Carroll has referred to you as her style competition on campus. What's the current favorite piece of clothing that you own?
My glasses. And I would say that never go short on glasses or don't buy cheap shoes. So those are the 2 things you should always invest in.
Beautiful. So would you say that's your must-haves, glasses and shoes?
No, actually, my must-have is actually 3. I'd say a tailored suit, a pair of jeans, and muck boots.
And what are one of your pet peeves?
My pet peeve is being called Jeffrey, Jeffrey. That's not how my name is spelled.
And what's one thing that you're trying to take up?
I'm trying to take up being a bit more organized and a little less cluttered.
And how about a good habit that you're trying to develop?
Oh, that's it. Trying to be a little less cluttered and more organized.
And how do you spend your time off?
Drinking beer.
And how do you plan to spend your retirement?
How do I plan to spend my retirement? Drinking beer.
Now, if you could switch lives with one person for a day, who would it be?
You?
And what would you do?
Ask you 75 questions.
Oh, boy. Now, if you had a weekly podcast, what would it be about?
There's one on right now called The Art of Manliness, and that's what I'd like to do. It talks about all things about being a man.
And if you had one goal that you're determined to achieve in your lifetime, what would it be?
I'll be finishing my manuscript on love.
So I know that you like to read and write and study on the topic of love. Do you believe in love at first sight?
Yes, I do.
Now, how about agape or philia?
Philia.
And do you believe that love can change people?
No, but I think it can make you realize who you actually and truly are.
And can you give me 3 words to describe love?
Pretty damned amazing.
And what are you most excited about these days?
Watching my daughter grow up and explore and learn new things.
Well, this was great. Thank you for spending some time with me today.
Thank you very much.